So I'm noticing the fog's a little dense, so I'm just going to lower that just a little bit. Okay, and what else can we do? I could add a tree like behind the camera to cast some lighting here. That way it breaks up all this green. So let's go to build mode. And that's the fun thing about ArcViz is like, it's all like you have a general idea of like what makes sense, but then once you actually get into sending out like the renderings, you come across different ideas, right? So I'm just going to copy this over, and let's say I put it right there. What's that going to do to my camera? Restore that. So that's actually really nice because now it's framing my view. So now my eye is drawn to this. I'm getting a nice shadow here. This is actually great. That worked out beautifully. So I'm not even going to move that. That came out awesome. So now it's not just all this greenery, right? So I'm happy with this. Let's see. Let's do a preview. You can see we've got some beautiful lighting coming through. Okay, really happy with this. Yeah, this looks beautiful. Maybe add some more weathering on the shingles here. So let's go back. And again, you can see I'm always hopping in and out just to make sure everything looks good. Okay, that might be too much. Yeah, I can leave that somewhere around there. I'm just checking all my settings. And I'm just going through, yeah, making sure everything's there. I think this, the roof, maybe we drop it down to 7. Drop this down as well. Perfect. And what about these? Do we have weathering? And there's also a good check for us to just go back and make sure that our settings are all good. Yep, we've got weathering there. Got weathering there. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All right, great. And then we could, if we want, even go further and like add more scattering objects in here. So let's go back to our landscape just to make sure we can get some more leaves and everything. Again, because we're nearing the possibility of creating our first rendering here. So we want it to look, you know, beautiful. So let's go over to landscape and let's go to our landscape grass. And I want to add more of these green leaves, these orange leaves. Okay. But you can see that they're not big enough, right? So check this out. This is new to Lumion. If I go over to my content library under effects, place, I've got all these different particles, right? But what they've added are decals. So if you're unfamiliar with what decals are, I'll show you this. So let's say this is a sewage grate, sewer cover, right? Look at that. It's almost like a sticker. I would never model that, but it added this super high quality material on top of an asset, right? So, you know, I call them stickers because they're literally doing that. So why would I use this? Let's find leaves, right? Look at this. Now I can start adding all these leaves in here, right? And they're high quality, right? And they're going to help break up a lot of the details that I was concerned about. And I can scale these. Okay. I can rotate them. So I'm going to hold down Alt once I switch to move. Place them over here. That's going to help break that up. Put them here. This is going to add, you know, some more realism. So it's not just all like a flat color. Okay, I'll add a couple of those, and I'm just going to keep rotating them so they're not all the same level. So now when I go back to photo mode, look at that. We're seeing those. Let's make sure. Yeah, so we've got these swaths here. Okay, cool. I can add some more. That way it blends a little bit better, but you're seeing that it's adding some more detail. So it's not just plain green. I think the other thing I could do is actually lower the grass so you can see more of this stuff. So I'm going to go to landscape and I'm going to lower the grass size just a little bit. Okay, great. Then all that stuff can come through. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go back to effects And let's find some more leaves to place. I can even add some, you know, right around this sidewalk. I'll break that up. Add some here. And I'm just going to move these over a little bit. Place that there. Place this there. Okay. And then I can lower this a bit so it's not as bright. Because we don't want this to stick out like a sore thumb, right? Same thing with this guy. Okay. You could do the same thing with transparency, but see how it like hides everything? So you could do a little bit of transparency and a little bit of blend color. See the difference? It helps blend a little bit more than just like being invisible. So I'll do that. Okay, perfect. And I'll just copy a couple more times, and then I'm going to rotate them and scale them and everything. Again, these are the final touches. Okay, and now I'm going to scale. And I could do select all identical and then randomize the scale, but this will give me a little more control one by one. Perfect. You see how much better that's blending? So it's not something that's sticking out. It's just like a very subtle thing. So this looks awesome. So we did all this work. We created this effect. And like I said, we could save this. We could copy it, put it on your hard drive, but we can also duplicate a view. So you see where it says menu right here? If I go here, I can copy this and then I can paste it here. So now I've made a new copy. So I can just call this one, instead of angled, front elevation. Okay, make sure that's selected. And I'm just going to go to the front of the house here. And let's do something like this. And we'll save this. So there you go. So literally all this got brought over. I could change the time of day if I wanted, but you could see like you do the work once and then you duplicate it. Like this is huge for us. So we don't need to spend so much time like rebuilding the same exact thing. Do it right the first time and then, you know, replicate that on your other views. So do something like this. This one's a little closer. Okay. And I'm just saving it. I'll call this one zoomed. Okay. And you can do this for the front yard and for the backyard. So now if I were to go to the backyard, you'll notice that there's a couple things we would need to change. And this is why I keep stressing that like each view can have its own types of settings. If you go here, you'll see that our depth of field is off and our lighting is off, right? So let me just do this, set this up. Okay, I'll save this and I'll call this 4. And we can go in and we can change all of our numbers and everything. But our real skies is off. So let me go to page 2. And now I can change the heading. Look at that. So it's no longer in just, you know, shade. So I can fix that. Okay, that's looking better. You'll notice that, you know, this is all bland in the background, so we could definitely add like clusters of trees and everything. That's the whole point of that. But my point is like you can copy things over, tweak them real quick, and then you're good to go. And that's kind of the beauty of using Lumion's system like this. Okay, the other thing we want to do is change our depth of field, which is this guy. And we want to change the focal point. So we want it to be this, right? Then I can hit OK. And now this will be in focus, not the front yard, which does make a big difference. As you can see, ray tracing is working really well. We've got all these awesome reflections here. If I want, you know, to kind of illustrate that a little bit more, yeah, there you go. So super cool. Okay, click that to be back in position. But you can see we just generated 4 different views with the same settings. So that's, yeah, that's what I mean about like working smart and not hard. So what I recommend for you is look at the views we have so far and then add more details as needed, right? So if you feel like you want some more decals, that way, we can kind of break this up. Go ahead and do that, because we're going to move on to our interior project, take everything we learned from this, quickly go through our next project. So I'm going to add some more details, and you can, definitely follow along with what I'm doing, because I want to show everything I'm doing so you understand, like, this is what goes into creating renderings, right? So I'm going to do this quickly. Boop, boop, boop. And let's say I am happy with this, right? Like, I've spent my time, I like my renderings. We can actually do a bulk render. So I'm going to go over here. Just make sure all my views are good. Okay. Good. Okay. So the bulk render, what I mean by that is I don't want to sit here and render one by one. I want to actually render all of them at once. So if I click render photo, right now it's asking me about the current shot, right? And it's also giving me additional input, additional output, like, do I want a depth map, normal map, specular map, alpha, and material ID. And what these are, it's basically going to give you another rendering that you can layer on top and make selection a little bit easier. Like material ID map, it'll basically assign a solid color for each material, and then you can select that in Photoshop and then fine tune it as needed. But that's what all this stuff is. You see here, photo set, this is asking us, these are the renderings that you have. Do you want them to be included or not? That's what these check marks are. So let me just change all the numbers. Okay, great. And all I have to do is give it an option and a destination path, and it'll sit there and render all 4 in one shot. I don't need to do one by one, right? That's the current shot. So let's do this. This is your first batch. Let's go with desktop, and let's save this where we need. So I'm going to just call this V1, and then it's going to add the file name we gave it to that. And I'm just calling it V1. That way I know this is the first version, and then I'm going to constantly update that. So sometimes I'll do V1 or R2 or R3 to give it different revision numbers. So we'll call it V1 for version. And here it's going to think. So it's going to give us the time elapsed, how far it is with the samples, and the time remaining. So again, the biggest thing is coming from the ray trace sample. If you have time, you can increase this, but I think like beyond 100 is just not worth it. I feel like it takes way too long, not for like a much added benefit or bonus. But this is the real thing you need to watch out for in terms of how long it's taking. So we're averaging about a minute for each rendering, right? It's been 35 seconds, and we need about 3.5 minutes for the whole set. So that's why I'm saying a minute. So I'm going to fast forward this, and then I'll see you when this is all done. So as you can see here, we finished in 3 minutes. So it actually finished ahead of schedule. So let's take a look at the renderings we've created together. So the first one I want to show you is this was the draft rendering we did at the very beginning, right? So it didn't look great, but this was, the foundation for us to go back and fine tune it. And this is actually what came out. So look at that. That's a huge difference. So congratulations on making your first rendering in Lumion. Look how great these look. So if this is your first time generating renderings in Lumion, you should be super proud. These look phenomenal. We can easily, customize them, make them look better and everything. But this is a great step towards your ArcViz career, right? So for now, what I want to do is I want to pause on our exterior project, and I want to move into the interior side of our project. And we'll revisit the exterior when it comes to animations. So I want to give you a taste of exterior and interior earlier on into the course instead of having to wait through, hours of content. Feel free to continue working on this. In the next video, we'll talk about our interior project, the materials, how to import those, and how to set up those rooms so they look super realistic. Again, congrats on these awesome renderings. See you in the next video.